Okay, so for chapter, which is unit 6, نكتب unit 6, it has a title of simple linear regression. شو يعني simple linear regression? Okay, so قبل لا أقولكم what this is, نحن قبل في the first 2 chapters خذنا categorical and numerical variables. So numerical variables, وخذنا شو بعد؟ خذنا categorical variables. Okay, طبعا when we have categorical variables and numerical variables, we want to understand the relationship between them. بس الحين if I want to know the relationship between two numerical variables, what method do I use? وإذا بطلع the relationship between مثلا two categorical variables, what do I use? If I have two numerical variables, I'm gonna use the simple linear regression. هذا كله as a method. Okay, it's a method in statistics that helps us basically to find the relationship between two numerical variables. إذا بطلع the relationship between two categorical variables, I'm gonna use chi-squared. Okay, so for that chapter we want to understand the relationship between two numerical variables. So طبعا when they give us two numerical variables, هني in this question in this chapter اسمه simple linear regression. So from اسمه there is a linear equation نحن نبى نطلعها، صح ولا لا؟ So نحن نعرف from calculus إن a linear equation okay has an equation of شو y equals to mx plus b. فأنا بعد ما I get the two numerical variables بيكون لك data set and whatever بيطلع لنا values مني و values مني. أنا في النهاية in the end I want to get this equation. I want to get a simple line of best fit or linear equation or whatever it is. I want to get it in this form. There's a y, there's an x, there's a slope, and there's an intercept. Okay? في هاد chapter, how do they write it? They give you an equation of y equals to عشان ما أعطيكم شيء غلط b1 x plus b0. Okay? b1x is in the place of the slope. b0 is in the place of the intercept. x is the x هني, y is the y هني. نفس الشيء. حلو. This is the simple equation that I want to find in the end. I want to give you an answer of this. When they tell you find the linear equation or get the linear regression of two numerical variables, أنا سيدا وطلع هالequation. I don't want anything else. بعدين إذا زاد بهارات وقالنا طلعوا الإرر وطلعوا مدري شو هذا there's another set of equations for it. فأنا في النهاية أبى أطلع this equation. طبعا we all know from a linear equation there's an x or there's a y. في هاد chapter what they say is that the x and the y, one of them is independent and one of them is dependent on the other. Over here the x is the independent and the y is the dependent. طبعا from يعني basic ما أدري science grade 2 independent dependent, you guys know what the difference is. So y depends on x. Okay, so if we manipulate y and if we manipulate x, y is gonna change. بس أنا قلت لكم أنا قلت if we change x we're gonna find y changing. بس is it dumb the case? Maybe they give us two numerical variables آخر شيء يطلع ما يخصهم في بعض. فأنا before wanting to jump into getting this equation, I want to see if there is a correlation between أصلا x and y. How do we find this correlation? We find it through something called the Pearson's R, or basically the correlation coefficient. I want to understand coefficient. I don't know how to spell it. I want to understand أصلا من البداية قبل I give you the equation, is there a relationship between the values اللي أنا قاعد أطلعهم ولا لا? Does it make sense? Does it not make sense? شو الوضع؟ Is it إذا x زاد y ينزل؟ Is it إذا x نزل y ينزل وياه؟ I want to understand the relationship between x and y. What's going on? شو الحفلة اللي قاعد تصير هني؟ Okay? So in order to calculate Pearson's R, or in order to calculate okay, I'll give you the equation or شيء. So in order to calculate Pearson's R is the small r هذا اللي هني. Okay, it's gonna be equal to the equation اللي طول عن حياتي, the summation of xi minus x mean summation of square root of the summation of xi x mean squared times the summation of yi minus y mean squared. فأنا شو بطلع الار من هالإكويجن اللي طور عني. اوكي طلعت الرقم. I calculated all of them. طلعت الرقم. What does it mean? I got r equals to مثلا whatever variable. مثلا I don't know 0.9. Okay. What does this r mean? To translate it, we have a scale. Okay. We're gonna have a scale. What does this r mean? طبعا r Pearson's r is a range between -1 to 1. يعني في صفر في النص صح؟ there's a relationship between there's a scale to what r means. الحين إذا r طلع صفر that means there is no relationship between x and y. Okay. إذا طلع لنا +1 or -1 that means there is a relationship between x and y. وهني بعد there isn't a relationship between x and y. بس اوكي إذا أنا قاعدة أقول لكم شي ليش ما حطوا مثلا the absolute value of ها كلها. I don't give a censor that. I don't give a damn to what the -1 or +1 means. ليش ما حطوا absolute value؟ لأن the value اللي طلع لنا if it's closer to +1 that means there is a positive relationship between x and y. What does a positive relationship basically mean? That means if x increases, y increases. إذا x decreases, y decreases. Again شو كنا نقول y is dependent of x. Okay. The negative side says that it has a negative relationship. Okay. So if x increases, y decreases. If x decreases, y increases. So it has an inverse relationship with y. واحد positive واحد negative. مثلا هنا هذا طلع لنا 0.9 plus 0.9. يعني it has a positive relationship. يعني x and y have a positive relationship with one another. يعني if x increases, y increases. Okay. الحين طلعت لكم الr. الحين بطلع the equation صح؟ بطلع الإيكويجن. كيف طلع الإيكويجن؟ طبعا خلنا نطلع الإيكويجن قبل لا أخبص. طبعا قلت لكم إن شو كان الإيكويجن y equals to b1 x plus b0. I know إن كلكم كاتبينها شي b0 plus b1 x بس أنا لأن I get أتخربط بينهم I love to keep it in like y equals to mx plus b form because it's easier for me. المهم so what do we need in m of x plus b? We need the slope, we need the intercept, which is the b0 and the b1. The b0 is an equation with the b1 is an equation. بس أي واحد you find first. The first one you find is the b1. This is why I use this equation. The b1 is equal to the summation of xi minus x0 times yi minus y0 y mean. غلط أقول not. Guys don't mind please. xi minus x mean squared. بيطلع لنا value. Okay. And now we're gonna find the b0. Okay. Which is the mean of y minus the b1 x0. Again ليش قلت لكم حسبوا b1 first then the b0 because we want to put the b1 over here. Again يعني if you use math basically they're rearranging it to find x. يحطون x مني they're gonna move y مني. Okay. So you're gonna get b0 and then you're gonna get a value. You found the b1, you found the b0. You're gonna give them finally you're gonna give them the equation of y equals to b1x plus b0. طلعنا الإيكويجن. كان الله غفور رحيم. المفروض خلص شابتر مني بس الدكتور قرر يتفنن شوي زيادة. الحين what we want to find is شو قلت لكم نحن في البداية they gave us a graph صح؟ هالجراف في values ونحن طلعنا an equation. اوكي نحن طلعنا an equation. قلت لكم في x values وفي y values في التابل بس هذا this is like the closest equation we can get to help us find. يعني إذا الحين أنا سويت x and y if I use this equation I'm supposed to find the values نفسها في التابل اللي هني. بس that's not true because we're gonna if we plug the same x's مثلا الأكسس اللي فوق 1 2 3 4 okay if the table اللي فوق هني was مثلا x y 1 2 3 4 مثلا طلع لنا 2 4 6 okay if we reuse this equation by the way بيطلع لنا هني values غير بيطلع لنا it's trying to get the closest to explain the relationship. So إذا 1 طلع له 2 يمكن هي يطلع لنا ما أدري 1.5 إذا 2 طلع يعني it's gonna be so close but it's not gonna be exactly. فنحن نبى نطلع شيء اسمه الحين شو the RSE. شو يعني RSE؟ RSE is basically the residual standard error. Okay? نحن we wanna find basically the average amount or the actual amount difference from the predicted values. The actual اللي هو the first table with the predicted who the second table we can generate using the y's. يعني we have the x's قلنا هذا شو the x is the independent so we can generate a table to find another y's فبيكون هالy's the predicted they're different from the actual. فأنا بطلع what's the residual standard error RSE equals to the square root of the مليون ألف equation y minus y hat الحين بشرح لكم سالفة ال y hat n minus 2 طبعا نحن شفنا y I شفنا y مين الحين لنا شيء اسمه y hat y hat هذا who is when we use this equation or basically the y hat is the predicted y so يعني if we have مثلا في السؤال عطوكم x وعطوكم y x يعني 1 2 3 4 وعطوكم y 2 3 4 2 3 6 8 if I reuse this equation again which is y equals to b1x plus b0 يعني let's assume طلع لنا b equation مثلا I don't know 5x plus 2 ما أدري المهم it's not supposed to get me these values بس يعني this is the closest equation we actually found to resemble the relationship between these two. If I reuse في الحين I ignore يعني if I ignore these values كأني ما أشوفهم okay حط أحمر كأني ما نشوفهم الحين I can refine the y's using the x's so I'm just gonna plug the x وبيطلع لي a y بس بيطلع لي a y that's very close to the actual this is the actual this is the predicted the predicted هو اسمه y hat so مثلا بيطلع لي I don't know I'm just using خربوطة equation don't go into the maths too much بيطلع لنا مثلا 1.5 I don't know بيطلع لنا مثلا 3.1 5.2 7.9 فبيطلع لنا numbers that are really close to resemble the شو اسمه the relationship between these two أنا I wanna know what's the error between هالأرقام الاثنين okay what's the actual error so we're gonna use this equation so we're gonna do y the original y minus the predicted y squared ها بتسوون by the way كل مرة أقول لكم بتسوون هذا كله you're gonna have a billion columns for the original question I'm gonna explain it بعد شوي okay so الحين شو طلعت لكم if there's an error between the predicted and the actual y's الحين I wanna بعد إن mathematicians يحبون يطلعون errors الدنيا كلها أنا عطيتكم ال equation صح أنا الحين I wanna find the error of b1 and b0 what is the error or the standard error of b1 and b0 there's another equation for it so to get the standard error okay we're gonna use the SE okay of b1 equals to the RSE هو هالرقم اللي تو طلعنا فوق over the square root of the mean of xi minus x squared SE of the b0 أنا قلت لكم بعد بطلع b0 هو RSE times the square root of شو xi squared over n times xi minus x naught كله squared فبيطلع لي values وبيطلع لي بيطلع لي value حق SE بيطلع لي value حق the standard error حق B1 standard error حق B2 الحين شو اسوي هالstandard error ما بحطها بس في جيبي. I need to compare it to the actual values. We had the actual value of B naught, and what did we find? We found we found the standard error of B naught as well. شو بعد طلعنا؟ عنا ال B1 عنا standard error of B1. أنا الحين I want to find if these values are they actually significant. So do they have a significance level of 0.05? The conditions to say that these values we found are significantly or have they are significant or they have a significant level of 0.05 is the basic rule of if the original number is bigger than the standard error. So the B1 being bigger than the standard error, حتى ال B0 being bigger than the standard error. الحين أنا قلت لكم كل الخرابيط وقلت لكم standard error وما standard error. إذا تذكرون قبل we can use the standard error to give us an interval. هم دوم يحبون يطلعون intervals. How confident am I إن I can give you the actual B1? So I gave you the B1. I got the standard error صح? So I could give you now an interval of how sure am I in a B1 is gonna be between this value to this value. So شو بسوي CI or the شو اسمه interval is equal to B1 plus minus T times the standard error of B1. B1 عنا يا standard error of B1 عنا يا the T من وين تطلعونه؟ من التابل من the T table. So the T table شو يكون? What do you depend on? You depend on two things, the degree of freedom and you depend on the significance level 0.05. okay, so go to the table, find the value وترجعون plug يطلع لكم CI equals to يعني whatever plus minus whatever times whatever بيطلع لنا المهم a range of values حق what we think in the B1 should be. هذا the guy مثلا find the coefficient interval of B1 طلعوا مال B1. find the coefficient interval of B2 of B0. do the same thing بس يعني use the B0 menu, use the standard error of B0. okay, so these are the parts that I'm sure of. The other parts it includes مثلا the coefficient of determination my R squared. This is the only part that I'm not sure of guys, and I'm not gonna explain it. If I found or إذا فهمت بشرح لكم إياه in another video. So مثلا الحين أول example وآخر example is this question. okay, they gave us they gave us the BMI, they gave us the cholesterol level of 5 people. okay, they told us find a linear relationship. يعني أنا بطلع شو y equals to mx plus b. I want to find this. I want to give them an equation that explains the relationship between BMI and cholesterol. طبعا إحنا ما نسوي y equals mx plus b. we do y equals to b1x plus b0. okay, بس again before using the b0 لازم نطلع شو if there is a relationship between the x and the y. أي واحد ال x أي واحد ال y. x, y. The cholesterol is dependent on the BMI. So if I change the BMI, يعني assuming يعني if I can change the BMI, the cholesterol will respond accordingly. okay, so السؤال هو أصلا أول part قال لنا شو؟ أول part قال لنا find the correlation coefficient. okay, so it's basically R equals to summation of xi minus x mean yi minus y mean كله over the square root of summation of xi minus x mean squared. okay, so we need to find this equation. بس قبل لا we get into this equation نبى نطلع شو؟ نبى نطلع ال x mean، نبى نطلع ال y mean، نبى نطلع هذا كله. okay, so you're gonna go to the table and you're gonna actually يعني تسوون column. you're gonna find كم من شيء. you're gonna find, and I'll just write it me just for the sake of time. you're gonna find xi minus x mean. you're gonna find xi minus x mean كله squared, and then you're gonna find the yi minus the y mean. you're gonna find the yi minus the y mean كله squared. طبعا before doing all of this you need to the x mean and the y mean. the x mean is شو؟ كل هالأرقام added together divided by the number of people which is 5. Y mean is the same thing. هذا كله added together divided by 5. And then you're gonna get these values. Okay? So if I actually do a table, okay, بيكون يعني هذا next to it, just assume بحطي xi minus x mean xi minus x mean squared وآخر شيء بعد نسيت أقولكم بتطلعون another thing which is the xi minus x mean كلها times the x the yi minus the y mean the y mean sorry the y mean. Okay, and we're gonna do another column which is basically xi minus x y1 yi minus y mean. So we're gonna get some values. Okay, and these values we're gonna get the total of the summation of هذا. You're gonna basically add this summation of كل squared. You're basically gonna add all the values. So you guys know how to do this from the other chapters, so I'm just straight away gonna give you the value. ولا تنسون you're gonna calculate بروحكم the means x, y, but then you're gonna jump into the equation. So you're gonna plug بيطلع لكم r equals to 0.9825. Again شو قلت لكم r means something. If the r is closer to +1, it has a positive relationship. If it's closer to -1, it has a شو negative relationship. And here it's closer to +1 صح؟ 0.9825. That means it has a positive relationship between x and y. يعني مو بس you can say there is actually a relationship between x and y in this example. Okay, so الحين طلعت لكم this. So basically يعني you can conclude إنه if BMI increases, that therefore then you can say that the cholesterol level also increases. Okay, or if the BMI decreases, the cholesterol level also decreases. الحين أنا شو بطلع the equation. If I found that there's a relationship. The second question asks to find an estimate of the coefficient blah 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 blah. Do you want to find y equals to b naught plus b1x plus the e. E هذا شو يعني الerror by the way. I don't know if I said it فوق ولا لا is the error. بس احنا اصلا we don't use it لأن يعني ما أدري we're not that smart I think. ما أعرف ليش ما حاطينه. There like it's other steps to calculate it. المهم الحين to find the b naught and to find the b1 قلنا في two equations صح. First thing you're gonna find is the b1 which is the summation of xi minus x mean yi minus y mean كله over the summation of xi minus x mean squared. You're gonna get a value. شو طلع لنا الvalue 4.6. I'm just plugging straight away. b naught is equal to y minus b1 x naught. If you forgot how to get this, basically just rearrange the equation b1. Just rearrange this equation for this to be here or this to be here. That's it يعني حرفيا. You're gonna get a value حق b naught equals to 75.9. Now you could go back to the equation and basically plug لنا b1x plus b naught صح, which is basically y equals to 4.6 x plus b naught. شو طلع لنا b naught 75.9. So did we accomplish something? Yes, the equation also called the line of best fit هم نفس الشيء. الحين أنا بطلع if there is an error between the values. If I plug the actual x values, what is the error or the residual standard error between the actual y's and the predicted y's? So here to find the ISE قلنا شو equation square root of the mean yi minus y hat كله squared over the n minus 2 over n minus 2. فالحين أنا I need to recalculate the y's again. Okay, so مثلا let's put this again over here. Let's crop it. Sorry. Okay, so قلنا this is the x, this is the y, and I want to find the predicted y. Okay, so the predicted y is basically شو y equals to the equation اللي نحن طلعناه فوق. I'll just write it 75.9 plus 4.6 x. okay. الحين شو بسوي؟ قلت لكم هذا هو الأكس صح؟ I'm just gonna plug the x حق each value هني. so أول شي بيكون مثلا times times the color 18.5 بيطلع لنا a value of شو 161.0. is this value able to show me the relationship? yes, because it's really close. like شوفوا إنه كان 165 وطلع لي 161. if I do the same thing هني y equals to 75.9 plus 4.6 times شو 21.0 بيطلع لي a value of 172.5. فشوفوا it is close. I'm gonna الحين find شو basically يعني paste. okay, if I actually now get the values اللي هني it's gonna get deleted. okay, so قلنا هذا الx هذا الy, we're gonna find the y hat now. so we're gonna get some values الحين. okay, so the y hat قلنا أول واحد شو كان 161, الثاني is 172.5, 184, 195.5 and 207. الحين if you go back to the equation كان في y I minus the y naught, which is basically the original y, so 165 minus 161. okay, you're gonna get the value for each one, and then you're gonna take this number yi minus y naught تسوونه كله squared. يعني this whatever what's this, I think it's 4 squared is شو 16. so you're gonna get the value of 16. تحصونه كله اللي هني. then you're gonna do the summation of it. summation يعني all the values over here added together, and you're gonna get the upper part of this equation. n minus 2, n is the number of the sample size, which is 5, so 5 minus 2. المهم after you calculated it, بعد another note by the way, the difference between the yi and the y naught is also called the ei. I'm not sure if it's نفس ال plus e اللي كان موجود هناك, بس I don't think so. okay, so ei وهذا ei squared. okay, the ei is basically ei equals to yi كثير من ال y's وال i's خلاص يعورني. okay, هذا minus هذا. okay, so you're gonna get a value بيطلع لكم RSE equals to هنا 3.979. okay, الحين شو بعد أبى أطلع the standard error. the other question says I want to find the standard error of B0 و B1. how do I find the standard error? again there's هل chapter طويل و a lot of equations, بس if you understand the steps you know what you're doing. so the standard error of B1 is equal to the RSE. you get the equations يعني موجودين فوق. you're gonna get 0.503. you're gonna get the SE of B0 equaling to 11.96, and then شو قلنا we're gonna actually compare between the B0 and the standard error of the B0. the B0 هني طلع لنا مثلا 11.96 with sorry. okay, so the standard error of B0 طلع لنا 11.96 وال B0 طلع لنا 75.9. okay, وال B1 طلع لنا 4.6 وال B1 standard error of it طلع لنا 0.503. شو كان الcondition؟ the original number is bigger than the standard error to make it or to say that it's statistically significant. هني ال B0 is bigger than her وال B1 original is bigger than the standard error. so we can conclude or say therefore it is statistically significant. okay, by شو by 0.05. there's a statistical significance of 0.05. الحين I'm gonna get the confidence interval, which is basically B1. مثلا في السؤال قالنا find the confidence interval of B1 plus minus T times the standard error of B1. عنا هالبارت وعنا هالبارت, we just need the T. so the T is basically the standard. it depends on شو the degree of freedom, which is n minus 1, which is شو 5 minus 1. sorry هني the degree of freedom is actually n-2 مو ب n-1. okay, note, please note that. فبيكون 5 minus 2 which is equal to 3. و significance level قالكم 0.025 لأنه 0.05 هو to just stick to the 95%. هم في السؤال قالكم of 95% which is 0.025 which is يعني we're assuming just one tail not two tails. okay, so بيطلع لنا if you go to the table of the degree of freedom and the significance level بيطلع لنا the t value from the t table of 3.182. plug the values بيطلع لكم شو؟ بيطلع لكم 4.6 plus minus 1.6 which is a range of 2.998 and 6.202. حلو. الحين قال لنا بعدين calculate the coefficient of determination. coefficient of determination is r squared. هذا and I don't know how to do it honestly and I keep getting different equations. I'll check I'll see تكملة السؤال. المهم إذا قال لنا draw a table basically of the actual values, just plot these numbers. These are the actual values. بعدين إذا قال لكم plot a table of مثلا the equation we found is يعني هذا اللي y equals to b1x plus b0. what you're gonna do is you're gonna ليش قلت watch؟ المهم what you're gonna do is you're gonna get the equation. خلينا نطلع لكم equation. طيب كان شو y equals to 4.6x plus 75.9. what you're gonna do is basically take these x values, plug it هني. you're gonna يعني get the x's هم نفس الأكسس اللي هني ها كله مني. then you're gonna find the y which is نحن سميناه شو y hat. قال لكم plug a table of the linear regression يعني you plug this. قال لكم or make a table of the linear regression you're gonna use this. قال لكم use or make a table of the actual results or the original data you're gonna find a table between or create a table of this.